So what personality shows up for you when you're doing your thing? All I can tell you is that I am Dr. Brenda Jean Power, and the doctor represents metaphysics, the nature of being. So how are you being today? Is it your choice, or are you just following the programs? This is the Medicine Woman Solutions Show. Solution is SOULTION. Your soul has a solution. You just have to learn how to listen. And a lot of people say, well, I'm not born with the gift. And yes, you are. You just have not been exposed or been learning or how to rewire your brain, what to let go of, how to help yourself become something greater than your issues. Thank you very much. So it is kind of cold in here. Um, yeah, it would help if I actually turn on the heater. It's going to be. That was easy. And I do have an easy button. So if anybody heard that, that was easy. Yes, it was. That's because I set it up that way. There's lots of things. So it's May 26th, 2025. And what can we get into? What can we talk about? And there's a lot we can do. So on my video, the little reel or the short or whatever you refer to it as, we're going to talk about personalities. This is something that I've learned a long time ago, but can never really talk to people about until just recently, when you start to notice that if you're doing it, nobody else has, and all of a sudden you can see somebody else doing it, then it's starting to pick up in the consciousness, meaning people are growing on a soul level, consciously growing. Hi, Sarah, how are you? Sorry if I missed a few of you. I am not really seeing that good far away. The contacts were giving me a little problem this morning. But consciousness growth, why are we changing? What's happening? You look and there are different ways of thinking, being, what's right, what's wrong, um, traditions, things that get passed on. But what you are awakening to what your soul wants, and that's to return to love. And a lot of people say, well, I am. But out of the side of their mouth, they're hating, they're destroying, they're not respecting. We're moving into what's called a healing journey. We already did the healer's journey or hero. You know how you have to have bad things happening and then you have to win at the end? Well, that's kind of like what our thinking is that we have to think what other people think and we have to outsmart them and we have to, because somebody's always trying to rip us off. And you know, there is a lifestyle, there is a way of people think. But if you're going to think with your ego and not with your higher self, it can be a bit stressful, chaotic, and things that go on in your head. So when bad things happen, I just connect it to my heart. I live it, breathe it, walk it, talk it, dream it, and imagine it. And what is being this particular personality? So we have many different masks that we put on in front of people, and they can be, what do you call it? Um, social skills, or what you have to show up as, or you get in trouble, or this is how you want to make sure people see you and not to see the real you. But these are particular personalities that you may not even be aware of, that you have maybe cultivated yourself. For instance, when I was younger, I had to borrow my mother's car to go to work. And my mother was like, she'd stress, she would think the worst, no different than any other people. But again, that's the consciousness you're leaving behind. And I'm like, okay, mom, whatever. And well, after a while, when you get out of work, clock out. It's supposed to be at 9 o'clock. That's when the store closes. You got to count down. You have to wait for the pharmacist. You all have to go to the bank together. So that's safety first. But sometimes I wouldn't get home until 9. And that's because you have to wait as a crew. Now, you don't get paid for that. But at the same time, it's respect, camaraderie, and all of this. I'd get home and my mother would just, rip me a new one. And it's like after a while, oh God, I can't handle this. So an average person would go, all right, what if I did this? Let's see what the response is. Okay, that worked until it doesn't. What if I do this? What if I do this? So one of the things I did was, okay, I have to figure this out. So I decided to find something that I could be mad about and be mad first. And so that she wouldn't get mad. And so then everything would be calm. Well, this personality, this particular behavior, it became into an existence and it becomes so natural that I wasn't in charge. And so I'd be angry all the time and I'd be like, what's going on? Oops. And it wasn't until later I'm like, why am I always angry? Well, what are you focusing on? Why'd you do it? I understood now, but I couldn't see at the time because all I did was do my best to solve. Well, what if I do this? Then they'll stop doing this. What if I do this? And I can give you 1,000 different personalities, 1,000 different masks, and you're going to hate them all. Aw. Thank you. And it's just like, what about me? What about just being me? So then if you're showing up for others, if you're showing up for others, then you can't be you. But when you start to become you, meaning you are living, I've chosen then to be a Sigma. I chose to do my best to be kind. I chose to do an and respect. I chose these things. So when I'm going to the store and all of a sudden I go into automatic notice, that is a memorized part of you that can be resolved. But can you be awake enough as your spiritual self to stand back and observe yourself and not see it as criticism or something bad, but to look at it and go, did I just do that? Without going, I hate myself. No, you don't go there. You stand as your spiritual self, as your whole self, live it, breathe it, walk it, talk it, dream it, imagine. And you are observing with an and respect without judgment. So you're using what's called discernment. You're not letting the emotional chemical peptides to pull you in, to suck you in, to run you to the end of the timeline, to drive yourself crazy, to, be a hot mess. I have something to tell you. You don't have to be a hot mess anymore. You don't have to be driven to hell and back. You don't have to. You have the ability within you. You are made of electromagnetic energy, and you have the ability to resolve, to evolve. You have the ability to change your energy field, which can change the chemical peptides in the body, which can change your thoughts. So when people come to me and they're in what's called a mess, a crap show, and they're just beside themselves, I'll say, okay, play with me. I want you to use your body and just copy along of where I would use a magnet and where I would tell you to push and rub, and we have to measure. So measuring is the key. If I can get you to pay attention to how you already know your hells and say, this is the parameter, it's 10, it's awful, uh, and then I will tell you to rub. So then you'll rub, and all of a sudden your brain, the energy starts to move. It becomes untied. So what you're doing is you're affecting the mask, you're affecting the personality, you're affecting all of these ways of being, so you don't have to be stuck in a memorized place. And so there's a lot you can do, a lot you can do. And so people take the label of having personality disorders with no answer to resolve. Oh, I was classified this. And it can be so devastating. But I can tell you that if you start to take charge, you can take that label off yourself. You can heal enough, but you got to be able to work with your doctor. Remember, this is entertainment purposes only. You got to be able to go, you know what? I want. It is the soul's urge that says, I'm on a healing journey. I'm not the hero's journey, not where I have to always have to fight and see an enemy, and I have to. A healer's journey has a different, complete mindset. They ask questions, they resolve, they stand in discernment, and they move the chemical peptides. They dissolve those out. And it changes the way they think. So when you have a personality, it usually refers to how unique and enduring patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving. Okay, so that encompasses your thoughts, your emotions, and your behavior. But when you go down and you have an automatic behavior, when somebody has pissed you off, that is a program. And if you can become aware of looking, go, oh, oh, yeah, I know the update prices. I can't, every time I change them, I don't understand how that happens. I've done my best I even tried to delete it so that they wouldn't show up anymore. So there's something I still need to learn, right? Well, it's the same thing with personalities, because a personality is a key factor of how a person experiences and navigates their life. But if you're not showing up for yourself, okay, there can be a bit of a problem. And you have to learn who is showing up. Now, if you're very nervous and you're all upset and a personality and old behavior comes out, you still can observe without hurting yourself and change it. Okay. So you have these, the way you think and the way you behave and the way you feel. Okay. So you have the ability, if you learn the tools of how to change the way you think and the way you behave by changing the way you feel. And people say, no, you can't. I know through so much hardship that the feelings get in the way. Tears will just leak out of your eyes, yelling and screaming, so you can't control it. But you can if you understand that you are not just a program, a lens to look through and decide at choice points, do I want to express this? Do I want to express this? And if you can't connect with that part, you need to step in and go, I need to take care of these chemical peptides. I really do. So one of the things about is that it's taught that, oh, you're stuck with your personality for the rest of your life. You can evolve to some degree, but it's pretty stable by the time you're adulthood. Yeah, it's true, but you can resolve to evolve. You can change those emotional outbreaks, the feels. If you can measure it and you got to feel, you can start to change the thought pattern by changing the way the emotions show up. Okay. And when you do, the thoughts change. You can use EFT. Some of you heard emotional freedom technique, and everybody's doing it. And I also have a copy so that people, can just look, but I do the long gamut. So it includes the left and right brain. So it includes the way the eyes are, and you can process faster. You can do OMG, placing your hand so it covers here and here. So what happens is that when you measure it, and you measure it, you'll notice, again, the emotions control the way that you think. If you're taking on getting upset, then it's going to skew your thought pattern, because your brain, as the hero, you have to be the hero. You got to be the good guy in your story. And sometimes you're not. Sometimes you really are more meaner to yourself than anybody else, and you make yourself cry. But you have to learn how to get a handle on this. And when you realize you don't have to have any fancy tools, very expensive things. I even have people that can't really use their hands, but there is a way around it. You ask anybody that's disabled, or however you want to call them, they will be the best resolver, because they're going to go, I can do it. Give me a minute. And they'll figure it out. We have lost that ability to just sit back and become the resolver. That's more of the healer's journey. Okay. In 5D, we're being the healer's journey. We're moving back to love by learning how to resolve to evolve and heal instead of just deal with it. So you're taking these personalities and you are going to go, okay, now there are going to be some traits and that you constantly do, because there's a part of you that's like, well, that feels like my normal. Now, if somebody comes in and goes, well, I don't like that about you, that means that, one, it doesn't mean it's wrong. Have you had this situation before? Okay. And it's not. It is they're having the issue. They can build an intolerance tube up where they used to love it. Now they hate it about you. Does that mean you're still doing something wrong? No. It means that they have not resolved their issues. So they've built this thing around you. But if you haven't learned to evolve together, then you're going to start falling out of love. Okay, you can fall in love, you can fall out of love. And we can heal all of these things. Chronic Michelle says, my heart hurts, so I'm rubbing all the points around it. Around the heart? Because I do what's called SP, source point, and it deliberately looks at this. Now, I've never given you a reading on my show, have I, Chronic Michelle? And if I haven't, I'll give you a free reading and we'll work on it, okay? And these points are completely different. These points, work on very specificness. So, for instance, she knows that how she's observing is that I have a while ago. Okay. So, for instance, if you don't mind, may I work with you? Do I have permission? And if so, then I would like to use this as a teaching moment, if you don't mind. Okay, so we'll wait for permission from her, and we'll go. She goes, yes, please. Okay, so she knows her world and defined it with words and emotion and how she said it. And if she wants to put in more words, she can. She says, my heart hurts. So I'm rubbing all the points around it. So my heart hurts. Did you have an experience where the emotions were strong that it hurts your heart? Is that the type of mean heart hurts? Or the definition of, oh my goodness, physically something, my heart hurts? Can you explain just a little bit more deeper? Okay. Yeah, it's emotional. So when you get all emotional and everybody else around you is talking happy, you're probably going to hate them because there's no way of seeing the lens because you can't get out of the pain. So emotional and physical. Is it because of an event that's called a physical, or doctors say, oh, you have a physical? I just got to make sure this is clear because, again, this is just entertainment purposes only. But either way, we will say and do things because when we're hurt, we have to restrict. And that means we pull in our aura. We can't receive love. We'll push it away and we'll hurt other people. It's emotional. It says, I think it says RM, but I feel it built. Okay. All right. So what I want you to do is you can measure this, yes? 10 being the worst. And is it a fresh experience? Was it an event that occurred that you're just like, okay? And because you can, and as far as like the points, I'm going to ask, would she be she'd be more of a candidate for success? Why? Because she expected them to be there for her. And this is an emotional pressed energy when a person failed to show up for you, and you feel that that they should be indebted to you, that they should be there for you. They should. So I said, what age are you talking? So I feel like your 6-year-old had unresolved issues, had a very specific event, and now because you're older, I can't tell you anything about how you're older, but chronic Michelle, I'm assuming you must be older than 6. And if you weren't, then can't help you. But if you're older than 6, then understand that you've had an experience. So listen to how your words are. Was there a part of you that expected them to be there for you? That you feel like they, because we have to get you to resonate the words, the sounds, so it would make sense. Okay, there's let me get it, a particular thing I'm looking for. Okay, all right, because see, what I'm looking for is, are you wanting to heal this? But if this is so I have to listen to how your soul wants to communicate. All right. Not just a 6. I still feel that way. Feel that way. Explain the feeling of so we're just going to go base it on a 6. See, so they're telling me that if you were to hold right wrist, second position, right wrist, second position, not first, not second, under the thumb. See where I'm holding, not over here, not here, but here. Notice it's a second position. You're going to place your thumb there, but this is where you're going to push in deep, not soft, but deep. Finger in the palm, create that letter C. Now, safety, security, stability. They not being there. I still feel that way, that they're not being there. Okay, excellent. Thank you for communication. Put your heel of the palm to the forehead. Again, second position where your thumb's supposed to be pushed in deep. Place it up, fingers here, let hand drop. Now, while you and I are talking, let the body do its thing. Okay? But notice that fine statement that they're not there for me. Now, when that feeling hurts and you're crushed, this is a statement that came up because there was something else there, a very specific event, right? I want you to just feel, because this says it's emotionally repressed. So at 6 years old, you had that happen to you. You did not know how to do it. You didn't know what you're supposed to do. So the only thing you could do as a 6-year-old was repress the feeling to move on. So time and repressing it so that it has to pop goes the weasel. Pop goes the weasel, okay? And it's happened. And it's happened in real time. And it hurts. The body's energy will get restricted. So you will feel it on a physical level as well. Okay. But hold that, because I was just going to do SP, but Spirit says this is you've had it a couple times, and it's like one of your statements. They're not there for me. I was always taught that people should always be, I'm always there for people. I don't know if you have any of these thoughts or these things, but these are potentially what people do think. Do you understand? You understand? Hold that. Now, you've got to decide if you want to punish or if you're ready to feel the feels. Because if you're ready to feel the feels, you're going to go, oh, that hurts. And just feel it. You're going to have the words pop up. I don't want you controlling the words and going, well, it's because of this, this, and this. No, you want revenge. If you're going to keep coming up with the same thoughts, that's revenge. You're not letting go of control. You're not allowing your body to heal. So just feel and breathe and let the emotions pass. Pay attention to the thoughts. Don't try to solve it with your left brain or old way of doing it, because you're not going to get anywhere. You'll just hate everybody. So if you're serious about healing, you'll hold that on your head and you will give it some time to feel. Now, sometimes it can get choked up here. Sometimes it'll be just here, but just allow yourself to breathe in and out. You don't need to go full blast. Just take it at the top. Okay? Take it at the top. Oops. No, don't shut down on me. Okay. Now, what did you all hear? Oh, you're helping somebody. No, but what did you hear? I need you to pay attention with your soul. What did you hear me help her do? Measure. What else? What else? To help her redirect how she's looking by noticing the feels and not just the words and the statements and the declaration. So she doesn't have to have a knee-jerk reaction. If she's really holding and she's going to sit there in the feels, the body has a chance to say, oh, they have another choice. Okay, this is what they want. I'm going to help now, because your cells, your 50 trillion cells that make up the community of you, that puts on, like, this is the Brenda show. She would be the chronic Michelle show. Chronic usually represents that it's never going to go away. And that's what she's pointing out, is that I have this, and eventually we heal enough, those layer by layer by layer. Maybe she can become acute to, hey, I'm Michelle. Not just Michelle, because you're more than that. You're more than chronic. You're more than acute. You're Michelle. Okay? But the pain is not going to allow you to move on unless you help the body help itself. Right now, she's helping her 6-year-old self. This is what you're hearing. Now, Michelle, you can come over to YouTube and watch it at any time of this reading. You can do this healing anytime. Just remember, it is Right wrist, second position, push your thumb in deep, finger in the palm, safety, security, stability, heel of the palm. Now, a lot of times people get it down to a 3 and not know they didn't get to 0. They're like, oh, that feels good. Okay, yeah, it's still there. If you catch yourself saying it's still there, then chances are it's a 3. Stay there a little longer. Feel the body, maybe not the emotion, but feel how the body is like, because that's also needs to address, because the chemical peptides will make the body feel a certain way. And when you allow yourself to get to that 0, then you won't have a chance to get it built back up. Now, then you'll have certain layers because you'll be presented with certain situations again. Are you going to react the same way? Well, that depends on which personality is showing up. That depends on what mask that you're wearing. But if you are becoming your higher self, then you're going to learn to stand back and say, I hurt, or it hurts, or that hurts. Instead of going, I am, I this, you're going to go, oh, there it is. I'm going to measure this. I'm going to take charge and allow the body, consciousness, and you to work together to help these 50 trillion cells. Okay. You're going to be working with the community. Okay. Let's not get the glasses. I'm blinding myself. Somebody wrote something, I can't see it. Where would learning challenges fit in the aspect? I guess what are you asking? Because we know that the tools can help with the different things. But if you have a disability, then you still have emotional chemical peptides that are affecting it. Now, if you're addressing with the belief, so for instance, you have the personality. If you think of who's Forrest Gump, so it's like, how is your environment programming you? Supporting you? You can become anything, do anything? Or does your environment say, oh, or can you feel that they're stressed and they can't do it anymore and you take offense to it? So you are still in charge of how you feel. But if you live in the environment, within that environment, you're going to always see the same thing. I would say that's where you begin to heal, how you see it, how you feel it, how you know it. Okay. So if it's to answer Michelle, did you hold it? And how does it feel the same? So you always go back and measure it. For some people, it could be 20 minutes or longer, or that's all they can do, and then they'll come back and finish it, as long as you make the promise with your soul and you're not a promise breaker. So you make a commitment. If you can't do anymore, and you're like, I can't do anymore, then you grab the golden white light above your head, connect it to the heart, and extend it out to the thing you're working on. Ask, does it accept it? If it says yes, that's good. And if it says no, you keep it there. And you come back because you love your soul, or you love yourself, and you make a promise that you won't break. You can heal this a few minutes and it's lessened a little. So I keep at it. Very good. So keep measuring. You just healed yourself and you're healing yourself. It says a few minutes and it's lessened. When you become aware of the parameter that it's actually less, how to do it? Where did it go? Do you want it back? If the answer is no, keep going. If you're like, it's still there. Do you want it to go all the way? And some people say, this is my identity. I can't live without this feeling this way. Then it becomes another chance for you to go, I can heal it from another angle, because my protective personality or my mask, I can't go any further. Now, if you can become more your soulful self, you're going to go, oh, you're going to stand back and look and go, no, 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 I'm in charge, not the personality, not these things. Do you understand? So you keep going until all of a sudden, I know it, like I know what the color red is and what chocolate tastes like, even though you don't have it. Okay. So you can know the definition So don't go, oh, it's still there because I know the definition. We're not asking you to take and go dumb or have amnesia or to forget it. We want the wisdom out of it. So you're going to say, oh, it's not affecting me. It's not charged like it was before. And that's how you're measuring. And you're all of a sudden noticing that doesn't have to be my story. Okay. So it depends on where you're at. I've gotten to the point where my body and my brain have learned what's called referred to as muscle memory, even though it's not the muscle, it's the nerves, but it is knows the path. So I don't have to hold as long, not because I'm, oh, better mastered it. I've mastered it. Every master was once a disaster. So I'm training my brain. I'm training myself to understand that I am a spiritual being. And I can see through love, and I can have an and respect, and I don't have to have knee-jerk reactions. I do not have to go there. And if I do, that means that that program is really, I had an experience and I have really thought it through, and I've really put some energy into it, and I need to stay a little longer to heal it out. So it depends on where you're at. But if you can measure and go, ugh, it's there, then it's not a definition. So you can't separate the emotion from the memory. So what you do is you resolve to evolve. And as that chemical peptide dissolves, then all of a sudden the memory, you can recall it at any time, but when you recall it, the emotions are not going to inflame you. Those chemical peptides are not going to put the intensity as if it just happened. You're going to go, oh, I know the wisdom. I know what that is, but I don't have to. I can understand it. So then you have more empathy for other people. Okay. So your personalities impact your behavior. Okay. So it influences, your personality influences how you behave. Now, personality involve complex interplay with behavior, cognitive, and emotional patterns. But if you can be in charge of emotional patterns, it can change the way you think, it can change the way you show up for yourself. And you can even take out all of the things that are other people, and you can decide, wait, I don't have to have white chocolate. It's not the right thing to do. I choice. I get a choice. Yeah. Well, I don't want to eat that. Well, it's good for you. You got to. No, that's other people. You're learning to unlearn and learning who are you. So when I'm talking about personalities that you need to address and to heal, and it is like, how would you behave in a social manner? It's not just that you're going to be controlled by this. You are home. Your higher self, your soul are at home, and you can decide if you want to have a knee-jerk emotional response, an auto response, or you can look at your wisdom and choose again. So emotions play a big part in, like, am I an extrovert or an introvert? Well, I used to be an introvert, but I love being an extrovert. But I don't do it in the same way as other people. I healed my fear of being embarrassed, shamed, or being called out. I healed out the somebody's going to attack, or I'm a target, or so you heal out these things, and it can change the way. So I can do this, and I can have my self-esteem back, my self-confidence, and my self-love, and I can do things if I need to, even at the size I am. I don't sit there and notice, oh God, I'm this big. People are going to hate the way I look, and I look awful. Oh, look at that, that extra roll there, this or that. I don't live in those thoughts. Okay. So when you have these characteristics and you have these particular personality traits, whether you're an introvert and extrovert, don't just call those labels. Rise, come to unity. If you're going to be self-conscious, but you're doing it in a negative sense, then you're going to have a whole world of hurt because there's no self-esteem. If you're going to do the right thing, is it based on who? The huge lesson I've had in my world is that I always did the right thing. And my mother was the big example. And then all of a sudden, to doing the right thing, it was my sister, which was different than my mother's. And then my brothers was different than my sisters and my mother's. And then my friends had their right and wrong, which was different than my mother's and my sisters and my brothers. And then I went to school, and oh my God, there was all, and everywhere I went, they would hold their truth, their beliefs, their right and wrong. And if I was not in alignment with it, then I was always wrong. But if I held my truth, I'm going to be out of alignment, but I can also realign to somebody else that is like-minded. And therefore, we can look at how we can think of something different. And it's okay to respect and love somebody else that they do the right thing their way or however it is. You just look at how somebody cleans the house. There's going to be different ways, different styles. Christmas trees and Christmas and holidays. Eating utensils with your hands, your forks, or whatever. Without understanding that I learned it right, I did it perfect, and then everybody else does it wrong, understand you're probably the one that's very restricting and limiting. You have to begin to grow. Well, thank you. Hi, Kara. She says, I love that you're rocking the green today. Thank you. So don't judge yourself. Begin to learn how people do it. I turn around and I love when people, do things and holidays and their catalog. I teach people how to look at things like their catalog of life. Do you remember, this tells you how old I am, the Sears and Roebuck and the J.C. Penney, and they had a Christmas section, and you're like, you know, it was a chance to dream, knowing you probably only get one gift, but it's like, oh, I want the gift. And you have to be mindful of price and all of this other stuff, and you're going through. And then there's a toy that, oh, that's for my brother. I don't want that. That's for my sister. I don't want that. But then there's this toy that you look at. Now, you don't have to be stuck because somebody else has it. There's more than enough. But a lot of people will go, I can't have it because they have it. And that's not always the case. Okay. You can like it too. People are catalogs of life. And when you limit yourself and saying that's taken, oh, I can't have that because I'm divided, meaning, oh, I'm a girl, I can't have a boy's toy, or I can't have this. You are living under old consciousness of limitation, restrictions, and hardship. But do you have to? When you start to learn and to love yourself and you begin to notice that, oh, look at April Lynn. Oh, look at Mojo Joanna. Oh, I like what they're doing. Doesn't mean that you can't attract that in, do that same thing. This is why it's called inspiration. This is why we talk about healing shows. And when my friends talk like I talk and they're talking about the healing experience, they're holding the light of hope. And when you're holding that light of hope, and you're going to have people that are in so much of their pain, they're going to hate you. Or they were told the right thing to do is you don't wave it around. Well, I would rather have somebody out there holding, not bragging. You can have this too. You can have this too. You can have this love. You can have this too. We're helping you understand that we used to be in hell. We don't live there anymore, and we want to help you. But if you want to live there, we respect that. But if you want out, there is a way. And so by allowing other people to notice, then you can be that candle of hope that can help them hold light, their love, their joy, and their peace. You do not have to become them. You don't have to look like them. But if you see that, and if your brain is lost in I can't have, then you have that little light of hope that says I can. It's yours. Don't put the light out because that's what you're taught. Like I have seen some people get bashed in time and time, and so they're like, I can't have it. If that's the case, and you say I can't have it, or that's wrong, how were you brought up? to distinguish hope and have to become helpless and hopeless for other people so that they can have a happy world. You are just as important. You are just as important. It's time to take you off the discount rack, rip up that, and put yourself and have value. Love yourself first, heal the pain, and allow yourself to reach a status of love. So when you're looking at it, and instead of going, oh, I can't have it, heal that out, because that's a lie. Because you're telling the universe, you've ordered it from the universe, I can't have it, keep showing me that. I want you to rip up that transaction ticket and say, cancel, clear, delete. I'm going to heal out those belief systems that I can't, or if I had it, then I have to be mad at myself. I can't flash this because that's wrong. Look at how your belief systems were controlled by the outside world that's about restrictions and hate. That you're supposed to abuse yourself, that they're supposed to have it, and you're supposed to feel sorry for the fact they have it and you don't, and you're supposed to get what, oh, I have it and you don't, you want more? No, don't. Stop. You are important too. Eventually, when you heal yourself, you can just say, I needed you, but I don't need you. Because when you don't need it, you can let it go. And the person that relies on you to need them can control you. Not in all relationship. This is just in the extremes. And when they know that you need them and they can control it because you're not using your power anyway, so they're going to use it. I want you to say, no, I take my pen back. And how do you do it? Tap out those emotions that change those statements. I can't have, or this and that, and those are all those little statements that you had to think of when your mom told you no, or daddy said you can't. And you had to soothe those emotions, but you didn't know how. And so you came up with, well, I'm not allowed. And you applied it to everything that caused more restrictions for your growth. So you become stunted and arrested development. We can change these parts of ourselves. You can't change it with just your left brain. You can't just change it by thinking and intellectualizing it. You need to take charge of the emotional chemical peptide that is making you feel, that create these statements, because that's the only way you can solve what you're experiencing. Heal it. That changes it. So that when you, as the higher self, are not controlled by those chemical peptides, but are looking at this, you can make a discernment, a choice, and say, yeah, we're not going to do that. We want you to be free. And so your personalities are based on safety, security, stability, sanity, serenity, and space, which is your freedom. So if you are having a personality pop up that is angry in the negative sense, complaining, which of the sixes, and it can be all of them, it could be just a few, that are out of balance, that you gave in your power away to believe in, and it keeps repeating because you keep telling the universe, I'm sowing that I can't. And the universe says, okay, I'll give you more if I can't. It's not judging, it's just okay. And then you get, I can't see, somebody up there hates me. And it keeps going on. I want you to disrupt this. Because you are in charge. Thank you. Do you understand? You are in charge. You are. Any questions? It's funny you mentioned this because I will have to rely on basically my whole life that I live with for about 12 weeks, maybe Friday after my surgery. And yet you can grow where you're planted. So a long time ago, I had other relationships, and those required me a lot of restrictions and a lot of things, and they always showed up as my family members of my youth. And so I thought, oh my gosh. So I paid attention to a knee-jerk response, and it was negative. I showed up as my spirit self going, wait a minute. No. Good to see you, Devin. Wait a minute. No. And I measured it, and I used Success Hope Therapy, and I used SP, and I stopped believing in it, and it changed the dynamics of the relationship of what I was attracting in. Even though they were still acting that behavior, I didn't have a response that played this game. So I changed what was called not my inner world that creates my outer world, but I also changed the scalar relationship field that we shared. I didn't always have to show up this way. They didn't have to always show up this way. I changed it in here that I changed the way I showed up. Yeah, they may not have liked it, but then all of a sudden I healed that again. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, we have to line up, but I don't have, they will start to zig and you zag. They will not, things will change in your favor. Let's put it that way. Okay. So as I had this person constantly gaslight me, now again, I thought they were in love with me. I was in love with them until I kept noticing I was sculpted. It was installed, and it was, if they didn't like this part of me, then they would have to say and do so they would get a reaction out of me so that I would show up the way they wanted to control me. So as long as I gave that reaction that I had lost power, then that's how they did it. And one day I learned that that was gaslighting, and I learned about it, and I healed, and I kept healing the emotions. I kept healing the button. I removed the damn button. I removed the trigger. So every time that they were trying to do it, I'd be like, I'm looking, they're using the button that's not there. And I could feel that I didn't have to have these knee-jerk reactions, and I didn't have to have these stories, and I have to be the hero, and I gotta, no, I'm like, whoa. And I noticed it changed the dynamics, that I didn't care. I didn't look at them and say, I need you. I didn't look at them and say, oh my gosh, I was in love with this mask that you were wearing. I can see that the true you, and you know what? It doesn't matter. I don't need your approval. I don't need to save this relationship. I'm going to let you do you while I go do me. And growth occurred. Yes. Did it end a marriage? Did it end relationships? Did it end friendships? Did it end family relationships? Yes. But I also saved me. I didn't have to keep dying. I became healthier. And I created a world that supports and loves me. Not by fantasy, but by I love myself. And so my inner world created a newer outer world. Okay. So tell me your feedback. Let's talk about this. So, Davin, no matter what happens and you're planted and you can't do anything, just start watching their behavior and notice, do you have to respond in this way? They're going to be them. But do you need to respond this way? Do you have to feel it and then give that response? Do you have the way that people call love? Is sometimes not love. It can be just rude, and it can be painful, and it can be whatever you want to call it. When I watch people that say they love me but abuse me, it's like, no, it's just, you don't have to do it because you need to rely on them. Like, you don't have to put up with them pissing you off or telling you negative things. Heal it out. And when you begin to heal out those chemical peptides, they can show up in a healthier way. Because we need to change the lenses that we're looking through, which is based on emotions and definitions, and you change those. If you take off your mask and they are, you're being real, they may not understand it, but that's okay. All right. But eventually you will grow. not cower, not make yourself less than. You don't have to do that anymore. So you can be in charge of who shows up, what personality, because every personality you have has a set of physical rules. Some personalities have lung issues, diabetes issues, all of this. But if you can change that particular personality based on just looking at the 6 S's, safety, security, stability, sanity, serenity, and space, which is freedom. And if any of those are out of balance, you then heal the emotions so that you can go, how you know it. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't matter how you know it, and you change and you grow. You start balancing the 6 S's, your personality will start to evolve to the point where you can be more of your consciousness, your heart-brain coherence, more about love. Okay, it's not just these traits and characteristics. You can change and grow in two-way, and you're not in a fixed, restricted state. So if you get a reading from me, understand, you look at the clock behind me and you're like, but I don't see it. Well, when you go on YouTube where it is recorded and left there, you will notice that your name and the time on the clock behind me will represent your timestamp. Okay. Now, if you had a free reading, understand, you can get that if I've never read you before. But if you have if you want to be read and you've been read, you can do 25, 15, or 5, and you send it to paypal.me/reading11, and you will, no S on reading, and you should say Brenda Power. Brenda Power, you should see me. Okay, and then it'll come through. So we have 2 people that have, that have paid, and one is Miss April Lynn, and she paid for a chat, whereas Amy has paid for to come on the video audio. So I'm just opening it up right now, and hopefully it'll pop in so I can read it. Okay, so if April Lynn is here, then great. I'd like to work with her. Okay. Okay. And as we're waiting to see if April Lynn is here or if we're going to do the reading, I don't know if she went to bed. So Davin says, yeah, I'm not ready to go through the pain after it. I have to take pills every 4 hours for 2 weeks. Now, this is an anticipation of how you experienced pain before. And I totally get that. But at the same time, that is what you have to heal, of how you have a memory of the intensity of all of this with the dread and everything. For you, Miss Davin, I'm going to say it is the feeling hopeless and helpless and that you have to go through this. So start with R1S and just, okay. Look at how you just wrote it, measure all of that, and just stay in that position. Now, you also don't want to go through all of the way they manipulate, the way they control, the way that this and this and that is, or the complaining. Oh, she wants this again. Right wrist, 3rd position, soft. Nice and soft, R3S. Okay. There's Miss April Lynn. Okay. And there goes my screen. All right. So Miss April Lynn, now there seems to be some, may I say certain things out loud because you wrote me, I just want to be discreet about it. Okay, so I'm looking at this and all right, so we're looking at that and then body. Okay, so as soon as I see here, or here, so she said here, she said, yes, go ahead and speak out loud, however she wants me to say it, because she's asked for something specific. That's interesting because the first line that you wrote, I need a little bit more definition. So when we're having certain certain experiences, says experience awareness with sensory noises. So we know that the ear of a sensory ears are involved. And I said, is the ears, it's about being in stress? No, they said it has to do with feeling them and reminding you of something in the past that you were deficient or be deficient, because I heard manipulation as well. So you've had people in your life that probably manipulated you, and that would make you feel deficient. So certain noises are what's called if we were to say an engram, meaning your brain has said this equals this. So you had an experience and it equals that this is supposed to make you feel deficient. So everything from color to experience of drinking of a cup, whatever was going on, the smell of the air, anything, okay, can cause this. So as I look at this, it says, the body says, I have remembered and stored it in my body. So if I look, it says like lower back pain. And I'm going to ask what the back that is about. They said it has to do with mental. So there's a certain amount of thinking or how you think. So it can be more of left brain, or it is a restricted statements of what's going on. But I'm looking at deficiency. So the deficiency in this case is that it's if you're feeling deficient, then that means there's something lofty. And if this noise irritates you, that means that you've given power away to this lofty noise. And if I say why, and it is the frequency, there's a certain frequency that is making it sound like so like F sharp, something about self-centered people. So you must have a definition of what self-centered people look like, sound like, or even just the environment. So I'm watching your F sharp. So now I'm just going to look, so I'm going to look a little bit further. What meridians are causing, so you're taking in, is it just the sensory system? It's an active memory. So we have a particular active memory. Can you give me information about this active memory? About 7 years old. So you have an active memory that's going off. It's about 7 years old. And an active memory means it's been triggered and the whole body is personality. So is it safety, security, stability, sanity, serenity? So there is no serenity in space. There is no serenity, and there's no space. So those two are off. And I said at 7 years old, we know that there was lofty people that would take your serenity and then take your space. So the body is saying that they sounded like this. Whatever it is, whether you're looking or whatever, it's affecting the F sharp. So now I'm going to look and say, what meridians go off when you're happy? And then all of a sudden, as soon as that kicks in, they said, okay, so it goes silent brooding. So the emotion kicks off first. Okay, the emotion of silent brooding, which is lung, ends up being invading, and which is stuck in your stomach meridian. Okay, and the stomach meridian says, I have to obsess about this. So I have to overthink. So silent brooding, overthink. Okay, and I have to follow it and I have to get it worse. So this is where you'd run with scissors. And then you said, I obsess, and then I have to obsess about this. I says, is this how your little processed the event? Yes. So you were left to your own devices around 7 years old. So it silently brewed and it obsessed and it was trying to resolve. And it's I said, what else? And they said, another meridian that comes into play is the liver. I said, jumps right into the liver that I am going to have to, and that's behave. And that means that you have to put these restrictions on. You have to put on this mask. You have to put on this particular personality because this is what they said. And so we can see silent brooding, obsessing, and I'm going to have to behave that way. Now, I'm concerned about all this, but I see the silent brooding is invading the stomach. So you're going to take your hand, either one is just fine, place it on your forehead and say, invading energy of silent brooding in the stomach. Okay, invading energy, silent brooding in the stomach. Now we want to change it, and we're changing it from the governing aspect. And we're saying that the silent brooding is invading the stomach. So I asked if it is more than 3 times. They said, no, you should be good. And then it said, then you need to look at this obsession, the obsession. Now, interesting enough, they're saying that the gallbladder is doing this obsessing. And I said, so the goes off and you have to overthink. And it's connected to that I have to obsess because I'm rejecting my reality. So you have to now, personality wise, your spirit's got to go, where am I rejecting that noise? Where am I rejecting that to which I don't want to participate? I'm rejecting. So then you're going to do L2S, left wrist, second position, soft. Oh, I reject that. Oh, listen. This is where you're going to have to do sensory accessing along with left hand to S, soft. So it's like, oh my God. So put that noise and feel how the body, it's like when your nerves are being taxed by a sound, it can drive you crazy. They proved that when they would do a torturing in camps. I think it was the Chinese torturing camps, I think. And so if it keeps hitting your nerve, like this point here, you can tap in joy because this here, your nerve here is saying, ow, ow, ow. So we are holding, measure that exposure and feel how it's hitting. So there's like a rhythm to it. Okay. Remove, transcend, let go, switch ears, keep holding L2S, and then go back and forth. Measure, because we need to get this out of the nervous system, out of the body. Okay. Now, again, I'm rejecting. Now, this goes with that obsessing. Okay, so then we're going to address now that the silent brooding is going to be out of that. You still have to notice this habit that I have to see it, hear it, and then, okay, so you really got to define what is obsessing, what is silent brooding, and where you feel you have no power and you are stuck. So look at what angle you're at, and when you finally decide, okay, I'm going to look at this silent brooding, and I'm going to have to behave this way because it's predicting, and it's going to think you're going to hold left wrist, second position deep. So there's the silent brooding, the obsessing, and I know I'm going to have to behave this way. I have no choice. So feel the restrictions, feel how it won't stop, feel how I can't stop this. I'm deficient. Keep holding, and measure each one. That to the point when you start to realize that your reality is going to be yours, you don't have to obsess anymore. You'll start to feel maybe the separation. Okay, you with me? Any questions, let me know now, because what I'm seeing is that the people in your world that love you have a language that knows if they push the right button, you're going to behave a certain way. And you are so used to that when you're a kid that anybody can push that button, even if they don't love you. They just have to, it's their response. Like I had somebody, I have a business. I have clients. I have, in that lifestyle, there's a certain amount of things that you have to do, like record or fix the website, or if something crashes, you got to fix it. And so when somebody comes in and goes, I want your attention, and you don't have time to give them attention, then they may go away with their own thoughts and come up with their own stories, and they have to heal their pain by coming back and saying, okay, I know you're busy, and you're looking at it going, and then they throw off the energy that you're supposed to feel bad, or they're meant to hurt you. It depends on how they talk. You don't have to respond to this. You don't have to give them that. Remember, this is changing this relation right here. So the body is restricted. The body is saying, I reject, therefore the body's energy of the aura goes in, and it literally, you can feel that rejection. Your body says, I don't like it. We've been here. We've done it before. I already know this energy. I can't get out of it, but it's controlling. And so you have pinpointed its overwhelming of noises, But the noises, now this is where I'm going to tell you, just looking at the noises, you are going to hold R3S and just start feeling and looking at the noise. Notice that it's like you hear it, and notice how you're hyper focused looking at it. And you're like, when you start hearing yourself complain, I want you to, and then bring yourself back and sit there and go, I let it manipulate me. And then all of a sudden, what can happen is that you stay there long enough, you're going to notice you're tuning it out. And then you eventually going to do the tribal energy thing so you can fluff your aura out. Okay. You need to help yourself do that. All right. That was a really good one. Hopefully you got something out of it. It's not just overwhelming of noises. There's a whole other thing going on. Now, if you'd like a reading, you go ahead and you can pay for one. It's $5, $15, or $25. If you want, if I've never read you before, I will give you a free reading. And someone says, great reading. Good. Yeah, you've been listening. And if you feel that it's you relate to it, you can use the healing tool as well. You are welcome. You understand, so you're looking at this position and all of that. So you can do this. I know you can. I'm going to hold space for you. So again, if you want to not be a habit or repeated program, you have to wake up to, this is not me. This is just, I have a choice here. And if you unhook the emotions, everything will start to follow. Okay. Oh, thank you for all of those likes. Look at that. Got 14,000. That's good. If you like this show, give it support, share it out, get this message out, because this is for people that are ready or need the seed. But it is, you can become in charge of your world. You can take the pen back. So this is a movement. You can heal yourself. And we are doing the healer's journey. And it's up to you and me to help others by making it known. If you come over to YouTube, please subscribe and like and follow and get, ring that bell. I want to get my up to 1,000 subscribers. That would be great. We can do this together. We can do this. April Lynn says, yes, I understand. Wonderful. Okay, we'll see you in travel tomorrow. And if not, because you have to work and get up the butt crack of dawn, I still support you and love you and hold space for you. Okay, great job. All right. Let's look at so what habits are you aware of when you're thinking? What habits do you have with your personality? I just remember being so human where the emotions controlled everything, and it always pointed to low self-esteem. It restricted me. I couldn't do it. I didn't have confidence. I would always separate myself. And the habit was that. And I said, well, I don't want that habit anymore. So I had to pay attention to when I felt it, and then I disrupted it. When I spoke it, I called it back, disrupted it. I didn't, and if I hated on myself, I had to heal that out because I don't want to hate myself. I don't need to do what people tell me to do, which is to hate myself. When you're little and you have all this negativity, you do your best to figure it out. So you come up with these statements, or they may just blatantly be rude and say nasty things to you to hurt your feelings. And, like, I don't love you. You weren't the kid I wanted, blah, blah, blah. But your soul signed up. Heal these out. Okay. You don't have to be this. You don't have to be this. Okay. Anybody new here that's never had a reading, let me know, and I will give you a free reading. And again, 5, 15, or 25. Let's move on. This may end up being a short show. We'll see. Let me get my... Oh, good. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Come over to YouTube and let's get those up too, because that's just as important. We need to help create a movement, and it has to start with both of us. It starts with all of us, and the more we wake up to being love and having empathy, we can stay in a world of joy. Have you had a reading from, somebody was asking. Yeah, if you've never had a reading from me on my show, I'd be glad to give you a free one. I mean, I know these names because I'm on somebody else's show. Even if I read you on their show, that does not qualify here. Oh, wonderful. I feel like I found my tribe in your wonderful. Like-mindedness can help give you that support and that hope to give you that self-esteem that you can do it. And I'm glad that we were able to be that there for you. Okay. But if I've never read you before, just let me know and I'll give you that free one. I can't remember. Awesome. Joanna, love it. Joanna. Okay, so I got to get the right screen. That's why I keep pulling it up. There was something blocking it. Finding Amy and going over to hit paste. We're gonna have a chat. Hi, Zale. How are you? We're gonna have a chat with Amy before we give her the healing because she's paid to do a healing. But I'm gonna ask her if we can just have a chat real quick. Oh, thank you for the follow. That is really good. Hi, Devin. You happen to know what dreams of telekinesis means? Well, if you're able to move objects, if that's my understanding, you have the ability to do so. You just have to remember you are the spoon, you are the object, we have limitations. If you can move out of the way of ego, which is what you're saying in your dream, and you are able to do the abyss gifts in your dream, it doesn't necessarily mean you can do them because you haven't built the ability yet. But if you have the possibility to believe, you then can practice just like when I started out, and you keep at it and you will find this doesn't work, but this does. This doesn't work, but this does. You will then start to sculpt, build a definition and experiences, and your brain will finally get it. And so, yeah, you'll be able to do it. And that is where you need to pay attention to the fact you have abilities. Even if it isn't telekinesis, it could be something else. But just open yourself up to more. Hi, how are you? Okay, no volume. That could be my problem. Let me check here. There we go. It's working. It was me.
I forgot to turn on the microphone.
And I forgot to turn on my speaker.
Okay.
Okay, so bring your microphone closer. You sound like you're echoed and far away.
There, how's that?
Oh, sounds much better. Okay. Now, may we speak a little bit?
Yes, we may.
Okay. So I will be that particular person that is whatever you want to call me, seeker, shaman, whatever you want to call it, a seer, whatever. The point is I can see it and then I start operating in it. And I don't usually say anything to anybody because most people are not at that stage. But you have reached a certain stage where you're going, wait a minute, my emotions, I'm attached to a mask.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when they display these certain personality traits, you know, can you explain your experience so that people, because now we hold the information, we can start creating it. Now you have had an experience where you are now having your ability to look at a perspective and use your English words to bring it in. Give us an example.
Okay, so we had a private session, I don't know, a week or two ago, whatever it was. And I was holding whatever point, and it was about deficiency and approval, seeking approval.
Okay.
And as I was sitting holding whatever point it was that I was holding, all of a sudden I heard love is being hoarded. And then I heard that I was seeking the approval of the mask of unconditional love that my dad would put on when he would walk out the door.
So he was a bus driver, correct?
He was a school bus
So
driver.
So he had a certain amount of social skills that he would do with these children that she would get to see, but never got to see at home towards her. So
Mhm.
she, with her ability, go, oh, I want that, and never got that.
Mhm.
Okay. So there ends up being this division. You're yearning for something that you know they're able to do. They just don't
Mhm.
do it for you. Okay. So everybody understand the masks, right? Dad was putting on a social mask and he wasn't doing that to her. So she fell in love with that personality, that mask. Okay. Now, can you talk about personalities?
So I don't remember what day it was. Friday, I think. I went and got water because I have big 5-gallon jugs and went to Walmart and wanted to get cream. And so I was making a beeline for the back of the store with three 5-gallon jugs of water, which is like, I don't know, 75, 80 pounds.
Jeez, oh Pete.
Pushing
No
this
cart.
cart,
Oh, cart. Okay.
pushing the cart, and people just kind of started, so they would get in my way. They would get just in front of me, just and then walk just slow enough that and I could feel myself getting so pissed off. And I'm like, okay, who are you? What age are you? What? And I'm saying my name and my age and doing all of the basics in my head. And I remember I was going, I was behind this couple. They had come out just in front of me, and he was walking beside the cart, and she was behind the cart. And I saw where I could weave out, and I said, "Oh, Jesus," out loud. Whether they heard me or not, I don't know. But I called that back, and that's when I asked, "Who am I? Who is this? What age are you?" I got 12 years old, so I'm saying my name and my age and putting myself back in my body, calling all of that energy back. And then when I get home, it's like I could see all of this happening, but I couldn't quite understand why I couldn't get back to
Okay,
me.
so let's stop for just a second. So she is her spiritual self. She's not quite inside. She's able to observe the live experience, so she gets to look at the body. And this is a really good gift to have. And she's aware that she's observing it. And she's like, oh, it can't be me. Even though I've gone into my fixed state, which is the age and the name to which it is that creates this superpositioning to be here. So everything is all possibilities of wave until you look and you choose and you have chosen a position and it becomes a particle and you're like, ah, but you're looking that you're not quite here. So she was ready to learn about personalities, that you can stay stuck as a personality on a physical level,
Uh,
which most of us do, but it was also in the thought and emotional field. How did
mhm.
you know?
I was exhausted, like ready to go to bed at like 8 o'clock. That's
Okay.
not me. I'm usually up until like 2 o'clock. But I had gone to the clinic prior to going to Walmart.
Mm.
So after talking to you via text, I discovered that I wasn't my fixed state personality, wasn't my normal personality. I had become that personality that needs to believe in allopathic medicine and that I have to do all of these things.
So it wasn't the personality that was the program that presented at the store. It was prior to that. So when she was
Hmm.
focused on getting herself back into her state, she didn't realize that she had been persuaded, even though she had already said that she didn't want to do these things for personal reasons, for whatever her choice, that is her choice, but she didn't want them. But yet they were duressing her, pushing her, and she did not know how to hold that power or say the power of no, because you need to get their approval. You need to, I got to follow along, whatever the program was, she did what they wanted. And so then she's beside herself because I didn't want that. But she couldn't see that that personality until later, which was what? Like you explained.
It was, I I
You
knew that I wasn't the me that goes live, the me that usually shows up here unless I'm in a shit show.
Okay. So,
Because I was exhausted and I had slept. But it just I didn't feel right.
well, see, it's not even just, okay, so she had a shot. So not only is the body doing its best to,
Mm-hmm.
safety and security and cleaning it up, and it's doing its wonderful job, that sometimes you get tired and it's repairing. But it was more than that. And that
Yeah.
was, I could feel, which I couldn't see before, how somebody can gaslight me. And I was saying yes, even though inside I said no. So she had a conflict. She could feel of the wrestling of the personality. So this is what was very important is like, so as long if they came into her field, she's supposed to show up a certain way. And she's been healing this, who she is in this scalar relationship field. And it didn't set right with her about who she was. So when she came home, the contemplation was that she was stuck in that physical human contemplation, and then she was in that spiritual contemplation, and then it hit her that she needed to see those two perspectives so she can get the wisdom, which was, holy crap, it was, yes, I was duressed, but at the same time this personality showed up to save the day, and I didn't want that personality to show up to save the day. Okay, that
Mm-hmm.
meant that the body then had to go into this pain and this agony or this sleepiness. And then the program popped up, and when that personality was, I need to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that. And when you discovered that, oh my God, it has its own language.
It did. It had its own language. I needed to go get water for like 3 days. I still had one jug, but I anyway, it was like, oh, I can go tomorrow. And then I thought, wait a minute, I had that shot. I may feel like crap tomorrow.
So prediction beforehand. Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, I put myself back in my body, put my spirit back, did all of the basics, and then, but the talk was, oh, do I have to? Oh my God, I really don't want to do this. And that's not me.
No, it's not. But when the body feels a certain way, and it's easy. It's easy because you have
Hmm.
already lived that, been that, and you were breaking up with that habit. And you're like, but I don't want to push that button again. But the body goes, well, yeah, you got to, because so when you become your spiritual self, your higher self, you learn to have a heart brain coherence, and that language is completely different than each of the other personalities. And when you begin to notice the difference, when you can really define the difference, you start to notice that you're not you. You
Hmm.
you you know that something's just not right. And what you're doing is you're rebuilding. Well, I don't want to say that. You're breaking ego intuition, gut intuition is just that. It is not real. Okay.
Hmm.
Your bacteria in your body will control you because it's an
Hmm.
organism. Okay. Um, you have everything that's there and you will fall for it. And you got to take charge. And when you begin to notice the difference between your thinking as a spirit being and difference than your body or how your personalities that you had to have when you're younger, you can learn the parameters that you can miss yourself. Not, oh, I miss myself, never get it back. Here and go, wait a minute, I miss myself. I'm going to get myself back in alignment. It helps you, encourages you to do something, to take that action, and it's all about in the frontal lobe. So you're reevaluating your frontal lobe so it could be more in charge. But your gut intuition is you're building this new gut intuition, spiritual intuition in your gut that is more reliable
Hmm.
than the egos. So you are resolving out the old, taking the wisdom and building a new foundation, and you are able to become more of the spirit being,
Hmm.
and that's becoming a spiritual human. Um, okay, I think we explained it. A mask, different personalities. I mean, she knew she was that personality when she showed up in the store. And she
Hmm.
was like, oh, she was aware of it. She stood back as her third self, which is her spirit self, going, oh. do I really want to respond that way? So did you call yourself back? Did you cancel, clear, delete, or did you beat yourself up and then, or just get more angry?
No, what I did is I went and got my stuff. I got out of there as fast as I could because I needed to get groceries, but it was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to stay because I didn't want to spend too much money,
Right.
which when you're not your fixed state, you can do that really
Yeah,
easy.
because your environment, your country is all about capitalism. Buy, 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 buy. When you learn to put your blinders on with your spiritual thing and ask the question, do you really need to do this? Because they're telling you, you can learn to tune that out and say, no.
Mhm.
Okay. You don't be pulled in with that excitement to, oh, I have to have it. You can learn to build. So she's doing those things, but she also knows, no, I have a goal I want. And that means I can't achieve that goal if I'm spending this money. So she's learning more stuff. So you got out of there, but you didn't
And
realize,
as I'm driving out of the parking lot, I'm saying my name, my age, doing the Celtic weave, doing peanut butter, doing all this in my head because of course I'm driving. But you've taught us how to do it in our head, which is amazing. And so by the time I got onto the highway, I was back to an semblance of me, but I still wasn't back to me.
right? Because late earlier in that day, another personality had appeared. And you went through the process like you did as a kid. And there was a part of you that's like, well, there's nobody there for me. But you couldn't hear any of this until you went home and sat with it.
Hmm.
What'd you do? Just have an awareness or did you heal it?
I healed it. I don't remember what point I found I think I held the heart.
Okay, so you healed instead of deal, which is
Hmm.
good. Whoops.
Yeah.
Okay. So now thank you so much for having a conversation with me, and I hope this helps other people. Again, am I talking to her because she's my favorite? No. Am I talking to her because she signed up a long time ago to work with me to help me replicate this healing tools and these things to have another voice to help others know that they can heal themselves. Okay, so this isn't a fly-by-night thing. This isn't a fad. This is real. Okay, you have a choice now. And so thank you, Amy, for taking this journey of dedicating yourself to become your spiritual being and to heal. So now let's go on to the paid part. You paid for a session. How can I help?
Interpret that dream, please.
Oh, okay. So that means we'll find out what I can share and what not to share. I thought your
I thought the chat was really good, but I
uh,
like your interpretation too.
okay. So, Chat GPT did a real good job of interpreting her dream, but let's break this down. Okay, so let me go ahead and honor you because you've honored me. Um, so when you think of me, you have to come up with those words.
Um, in the dream, it was loving, caring, kind. It was all of that.
Okay, so it says your my house. So in my house, now when it comes to house, you got to experience some pictures and things about my house. And I said to you, I said, I want you to get familiar with certain
Mhm.
things. So you are allowing yourself to experience your space, more of your space to hold something greater. So it can be a catalog to have more love in your space. Okay. So you're having more love in your space. Now, the laying down of your head, okay, um, is to say I'm going to go to sleep, but laying down in your head, let's break it down a little bit more. Um, and that means we are going to look at this together because there's something in particular. So you're going to pick out the obvious, what do you call it? The obvious. Oh, go to the next one, which is head. Now I have to find this wisdom, intellect, understanding, and rationality. So you have love and wisdom. So as you are being in your space, so you're thinking it's somebody else's, but really it is your higher self, your part of your soul, your my wisdom, my love. So you're getting to experience this part of yourself. Now you put your head down on the counter. I find that fascinating. It's, because now it's like we have head, now have counter. Give me a second. I can learn how to spell here. And I'll find
COU.
one. Yep. Oh, there really isn't? That doesn't make sense. Did you try looking up?
I looked up counter
Yeah,
in
I must have not gone far enough. Maybe I'll go back in one more. Yeah, I'll go one more. Let's try it again.
go to the last one.
There we go. So there's a part of you that in your loving and space and your wisdom space, you're looking for advice about life direction. So you're aiming, at least you're not looking in your ego trying to say, give me life direction, oh, you're going
Mhm.
up backwards and then no, you're looking to your higher self, you're for direction. Okay. What else you got? It's against the wall that I'm facing. Why was that important? It's counter on that. It's against the wall that I'm facing. So you're looking at certain direction, trying to figure out what to do next, but you're asking your higher self. So then now your love covers yourself up, covered me with a blanket to let me sleep in. So now we're going to have to look at what blanket represents. I'm going with this somewhat slow so you guys can have an idea that how to dream interpretate yourself. If you're paying attention, you'll know what I'm doing. Okay. So you're looking for very specific words. So blanket is where you're looking for advice, knowing that you can be in a spiritual space to feel warm and secure and protected while you're looking for direction. So it's not like, oh my God, fear and impending doom. You know that the space of the unknown is that you don't have to go in fear. Spirit has got your back, and you can feel safe while you don't have the answers. Okay. Now, you said then the excitement hit. I turned around and there is my husband. Um, and you gave him a hug. So now give me a word for Alan.
Um, it was it was just the excitement. I mean, I can't even. It
So
was like
you're
all
excited.
this. It was
He represent excitement, joy, fun. Uh,
yeah.
okay. And I was in the kitchen cooking. I'm assuming it's the kitchen,
Hmm.
but I was cooking. So I'm cooking, and cooking represents desire to influence others in such a way that they will like you or become dependent on you. So there's a party. Oh, that's interesting. So your higher self wants you to become dependent on it. And it wants to influence you, but it can't if you don't ask for help. Spirit will never interfere with your will. But if you become your higher self, then you won't have to look for the influence. You will be guided and you will know which direction. So you are looking for direction. And now your excitement, you're looking towards your higher self that is going to help nourish you, give you information so that you can be more independent.
Hmm.
Okay, because your higher self, separate from you, isn't about separation. It's about becoming one. Oops, like where'd the dream go? Got it. Um, so you said, Brenda, here's a good question for tribal. Why does joy bring such sadness? Now you're telling me based on experience. Then I say, I don't remember how I got to your house. You said, that there's 4 hours till bedtime. Interesting. This is where numbers can be very important in a dream. So we're going to look for numbers. Sometimes it's not easy to find it. I know it's here. There it is. So the number 4. The number 4. Stability, physical limitations, hard labor, earthly things, and it could represent the 4 elements. It could represent materialistic matters. So your dream was about, as you're learning to turn to your spiritual self to get that guidance to become your higher self, you have physical things that are still in the way. That are still in the way. I got to look up bedtime. See if bedtime has anything that we can that will help bring in information. So is everybody following so far about this dream? Are you, Amy? Oops.
Yeah. I'm thinking back, and it was like when I woke up in the dream, I looked at Alan, and then I looked at you, and it was like I don't remember my flights. I don't remember driving to the house. I don't remember any of this.
Okay. Did that bother you?
It didn't really bother me, but it kind of confused me. It was like, how could I not remember being on a plane for so long?
Okay.
Changing planes, the airport, driving back to your house.
So that's your sense of identity. It's a sense of um, so that actually is where your emotions are. Because when you don't have a particular pattern, timeline, or any of this, and you can't remember it, like you start to have, if you're ever a kid, you will have kid amnesia, meaning you'll remember everything. And then all of a sudden you'll hit a certain age and then you'll have amnesia. My daughter came up to me, and I can't remember what age she was. And she says, Mom, I'm starting to forget grandma and grandpa. And I said, that's okay. You have them in your heart, feel their love, because you're at the age that you're going to forget certain things, but you can always find grandma and grandpa in your heart and your mind. Okay, not necessarily, we can look through pictures, but you're growing and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. And she's like, she accepted that. But at the same time, if you don't recall or remember, it can drive you crazy because you want to remember certain things. So it depends on if you want to be, what do you call it, in an ego where it's bad thing, or you're going to go notice the feeling that it induced, and the feeling felt like knots, like you're tied up. Do you understand? There's just, you can't move forward. So if you want to go in a direction, you got to notice, where are you tied up? Because time, your fears do not, the fears of not being able to cope with the pressures and stresses of everyday life. So if we look at how it's bedtime, looking at how the bed represents intimate of self, discovering of the self. And if you're not able to discover yourself and you're not able to cope, they're telling you can't see the direction or hear from your higher self until you understand that particular thing. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm looking at this and it says, then I say, I didn't get to give you a hug. Okay, so there's a meaning to the fact is that what a hug represents to you.
It's like a hello and a goodbye.
Okay, so hello can be great and a goodbye can be tearful or bittersweet. So you didn't get that connection, and we need about, what is it, 8 hugs a day to create the certain amount of chemical peptides so we can feel this particular joy and elated and feel safe and comfortable. So it breaks down to the successes. So if I were to look at, so your dream is telling you that you need to look at a very specific age. And they're talking about 7 years old, and they're talking about how infamy was part of your life. And I said, infamy, feeling bad or seeming that you were bad. So in the scalar field of relationship, you were considered the bad person or the bad influence or the bad, don't hang around her because it's bad. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at this, and in the relationship field again, okay, um, looking at balance habits. I keep hearing bittersweet, but they're saying this is part of that deficiency. So when your emotions hang on, you have excitement. Do you have to heal excitement? Yes. You have to heal excitement because, oh, that would explain it. Yeah. On this planet, I know that I have to heal the excitement. You're like, why? A hug is a heart connection. Good. Well, because if your ego is defining things as excitement and your ego's in charge, you can create bad habits. So, like, you go to the store and you got to constantly buy because, oh, I deserve this. It makes me happy. And then you buy. You get home and you're like, well, I wish I wouldn't have bought it. So there's like a regret. But the excitement is forcing you to buy. The excitement is causing you to do things. But is it ego's excitement or is it spiritual heart connection excitement? Okay, that sometimes you would get so excited, you forget to say hello, you forget to give hug, you forget to do things because you're super excited that you can't stay in the body's form. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So in this case, I'm looking at action. So if I say what happened at 7 where you weren't able, all you had was bad things occur and that you have to behave yourself and the loss. So, oh, does this have to do with relationship to your brother?
Yep, I think so.
So, let's say, did I show up as your brother? Yeah, there's something about you couldn't give that hug. To say goodbye? No, to hold on while I'm there. Okay, so it's like if you, I think there's a small part of you that believes if you hugged him enough, he wouldn't have died. Do you understand?
Yeah,
Okay, so when you see them but yet can't hug them, you'll feel this loss. So um,
that makes so much sense.
you became disconnected from your higher self when that bad thing occurred when he died. So these other personalities came into play. This is why you've had these different personalities show up. And we have to look at the 7-year-old that became disconnected from your spiritual self. Does this make sense?
Uh-huh.
And all that was left was the environment being lofty to you. And when that occurred, there was a part of you that had to emotionally repress because you were left to your own devices, and you had to, one, emotionally press the your inappropriate way of communicating, laughing, talking. Let's say you were laughing at the funeral and that was wrong, or you showed a behavior that was unacceptable to your mom and dad in front of people. So during that time, do you understand? So
Mm-hmm.
you putting yourself into feeling like I'm vulnerable. I just want some love. I don't know what to do with this heartache. I'm crushed. And you can't be confident unless you get this hug. Now, this goes back to when I was about 13 years old. My mother and she'd always give me a kiss on the cheek before I went to school. Now I'm getting at the age where my hormones are coming in, and I left the house that morning, and my sister ran out, and we had to get ready for the bus. And I'm walking out in a hurry, and I realized I forgot my kiss. And I get on the bus, and I'm sitting there, and I can't get out of my head because I didn't get my kiss. And I felt, and my mind went into the negative space. How am I going to have a rotten day? How am I supposed to live my day without a kiss? All of this, that I could not focus on my schoolwork or any of this because all I could focus on was the loss and the pain of not getting this kiss. Now, do you understand my story?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in order for you to move in the direction you need to in this next phase of your life, you're going to have to heal that 7-year-old that has had this be called out for certain behavior because they're going through a trying time, and you're feeling bad because you do have the loss of your brother and you don't know how to move forward with that. And I said, did you have survival guilt right there? No. So they're talking very specific that you're going to have to start addressing the fact that the coercing, people forcing you into doing what they think is right and wrong. Do you understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as I'm said that, I feel a pain in my lower back that shoots into my back, but then it pulses in my chest. And I'm like, why are you showing me this? And it says, um, uh, the word has come up as stubborn. So this is entitled to 7 and 15. You've had it. You don't want to deal with how they treat you anymore. And at 15, you've had it. At 15, you're like, I can't do this invading energy. I can't do this hysterical crap. I can't do how you're forcing me. So you started to move outside the realm of doing what you want. Okay. But you don't realize that because at 7, it's like, oh my God, I can't function. And so you stayed that way for all those years until you couldn't take it anymore. So I'm looking at 2 different ages. You're going to have to start doing this, healing the love, the excitement, and then healing the pain and the suffering, because you're having like a joy. It's not quite frightful overjoyed. It's not quite that. So I would say you're going to have to start with R3S because it's about duress and how the outside is constantly influencing you, giving you that energy of saying, you want to do something and the other person maybe agrees, and then they stall or they don't want it, and then you're like, but I'm left with this and I don't know what to do with this, and then I'm stuck doing this and I don't. Can you see how you're stuck in limbo?
Mm-hmm.
R3S.
The question popped up in my head. When I found out that he died,
Yeah.
did I jump out and stay out?
Yes. So I want you to go back to that particular age, and I want you to begin to put yourself, your 7-year-old self, in her body. So kind of imagine that she's there with you. You will put yourself back at your age. She will put herself back at her age, and you will begin to, do that whole procedure, saying your name and your age, put yourself back in your fixed state. You're also going to have to, at the simultaneously, show her body by saying, I put my spiritual self back into my body 100% where it belongs. Now, you may have to do that up to 10 times for her, but just, I can feel it. Because right now, you both are not in sync with the alignment of moving forward. And so this is the hiccup you got in your dream. Okay. I got to be able to have my screen back so I can see.
She's looking at me, she's going,
Okay. Now, do we need to do any more for the 7-year-old? Notice that she's conditioned with aggressive energy to make her
mm-hmm.
behave. So I think that'll be the next thing that you'll start to see. Like if somebody starts to show a certain amount of aggression, how you're supposed to auto response, or how somebody will do something and you have to do an aggression for auto response, but you have to stand here as your third self looking at, is there aggression?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. To these different ages or throughout all your ages, there's going to be a reason. Okay. You have to. This is when I'm supposed to respond. Now, when you do this, this is just a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is the way I'm supposed to act because my dad did or my mom did, or this is the way society tells me, da 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 da. And at this point, you've healed enough out that do you need to really demonstrate hystericalness?
No.
Okay, so you're going to have to understand the ins and outs, the energies coming in, and do I? And if you feel like you can't stop the knee jerk, that's when I would tell you probably to hold R2S, because you got to get that energy change in that meridian. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What was the important? What did you learn anything here?
I learned a whole lot. actually.
Paraphrase it so you don't forget.
So the whole dream was about deficiency, about how my 7-year-old lost the ability to feel love from the outside. And in my dream, I was shown that love, that compassion that I've been missing for the last 40 whatever years.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a habit and the knee jerk. That's what I did yesterday. That was a knee jerk. Or on Friday. That was a knee jerk reaction. And I have to heal out excitement and joy
Very good.
so that it doesn't come up in the ego sense of, oh, I have to have this because dot dot dot.
Right. So you're reprogramming yourself. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Very good. And so you know that, and how do you know that you helped your 7-year-old? One, you imagined her in front of you. You could feel it. It wasn't fakery. You could feel this connection
I
with
could
this.
feel it, and she looked at me and she's blinking her eyes like, oh, I'm home.
Right. So you should also feel something physically on yourself because it's still your body.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like with the seventh chakra, when your spirit is really our connection, you'll feel like it's open, like somebody cracked an egg, and then ooh, you'll feel it like being more centered, more open.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for the
Thank
conversation,
you.
and I appreciate this. And we will talk to you on Tribal, okay? All right.
Absolutely.
Great. Love you. All right.
Love
Bye.
you too. Bye.
All right. I hope you guys have learned something from this. That sometimes when we just start to break down our dreams, it could be a really deep message from your spirit or your littles, however you want to look at it. Devin says, um, I was actually feeling a bit angry. I have to go through a pointless surgery. In your mind, it's pointless. Okay. Have you done anything? Have you gotten the doing exercises where you can start to change your like they got toe stretchers for people um, because my body was trying to because I'm sitting all day long because of my positioning of my like my shoes and all of this you can change the body so I lay on a what's called a Denner roll to reshape my bones um, to spread my toes out, to practice. When they told me that I'll never close my hand because I broke these two fingers at a boxer's point, which is right there, and they were never set, so they're twisted and they have extra bone. And it was like that's all as far as I could go. And they said, "Oh, that'll be." And I says, "Oh." So every day I would practice. I would do certain hand exercises, and I would do mirroring exercises as well. But then I would do things oh, you can't do it by yourself. You can only have to do it with people there. Okay. So the point is that it's a bunion correction, but the thing is you can help with your imagination seeing it move by helping exercise it so many minutes, like up to 20 minutes a day, on helping correct the certain things in your body. You can help your body create a direction instead of just letting it go. You can exercise it, rehab it, correct it. Now, yours could be just simply because of the way you were born. Okay, fine. But you also can still do these exercises. Now, you say it's pointless, but having your feet in the correct position is very helpful. It's just that you're looking through a lens of pain and suffering. You've told yourself it's pointless, but did you ever understand why the correction was important? Okay. They did try to get me to wear something to straighten it, but I really did not like that, how I felt, so I didn't wear it anymore. Correct. Now you're in a position that instead of toughening up at the time, you now have to look at the consequences, and now this is where this is coming into play. So why did they choose now to do it? Okay. So the more that, let's say I don't do those exercises, these stretching, my bad body is going to go back into a bad position, and my outcome is that my health is going to get worse. But I don't live that way. So I do the exercises because oh God, they're so simple. They seem pointless, but they are there to help. Why do people have to wear retainers after they have braces? So that their teeth does not go askew. Okay. But see, you're looking through the pain, you're looking through the suffering, even though you are angry, you have other emotions. Like if you really look, and I said, okay, so she says she's looking, they go, yeah, but I don't want to do it. I lack power. So you going to go L2D and you're going to go, it's pointless. I don't want this. You don't have another perspective to help you understand why. So therefore, you can't get it through your head. So the emotion and the restrictions and the limitations are going to force you into thinking a certain way. Okay, it can be scary. I was scared to have my hands have surgery on, but because the way it is, I didn't even get help. I didn't get help. I kept calling and they kept saying, "Oh, well, you have an appointment in 2 weeks." I said, "Yeah, but I just," and then when I get there, well, why didn't you come in right away? Because you told me I couldn't. I told you they're just freshly broken, not set. You didn't listen. Um, so there's more meaning to the story. That's what you're looking for. Um, Yeah, so Joanna, if you're still here, if you haven't had a reading, it's not scary. Um, if you're ready for it, you let me know. All right, so I'm going to look to see if there's anything else, see if anybody else has paid, and nobody has. So that means, what else can we do? Last Spirit, what else we can do? And they said, no, you got a good show. You've been here for a couple hours. Um, so that's good. Some people only do an hour show. So two's good. Hopefully you got something out of this. It's all of this can be very important to help you to succeed. And I know the people that you usually have me on longer, they're going to show up and go like, she's not here. Again, there is no set to the time to the show. It's a start to finish. Okay, depending on where Spirit wants me. It has been a good show. Thank you. Thank you. It has. And if you listen with your soul, it really has, because then you can hear all of the gems, the juicy tidbits, and it can really help you evolve. It really can. Depends on you. Okay, it depends on how do you want to show up. Because if you feel like you can't, or if you feel like you're a victim, or if you feel like you're limited, you can choose to heal this. Um, okay, so I'm just double checking here. And remember, if you would like to support, lend a hand, subscribe, share, especially on YouTube, share out this practice healing yourself, showing that you proving to yourself that you can be this healer. And if you realize you're like, but I don't want to heal, that is your choice too. So no, there's no harm or there is at all. But if you're ready to get out of your space and hold space for yourself differently in a more healthier way, you can just keep watching the shows so that you can understand how to do so. There's a lot of great older shows that are not outdated. They have a lot of good information. Okay. Well, I think it's all good. Thank you so much. So when we sign off, we usually have hashtags. Heal instead of deal. Everybody's starting to learn what this is. We used to deal all the time. Okay. So right there, your head hurts. We can take care of that. Literally, we can help you with pain. Will it be permanent? I don't know. It depends. Do you need to have an adjustment? Is the energies off? What's going on? Is it medication? Is it food? Is it whatever? So this is where source point comes into play. Okay. This is like, we'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, your body is telling you that you've had a life experience that is showing up on the physical form, and we can help you in different ways. This isn't your typical readings. Okay. So you don't have to deal with it. You can heal it instead. So heal instead of deal. Hashtag resolve to evolve. When you're in a situation that keeps repeating, you're not resolving it. Okay, you're intellectualizing it, you're repeating it, you're thinking it, and then your brain gets worse by saying this, and then the program gets deeper. So when you are dissolving the chemical peptides, you're actually learning to resolve by just ask anybody that has had any disabilities or restrictions, and they'll sit there and they will figure out how to do the thing that easy for you, and but they can actually show you how to grow. You literally can go, oh, so think yourself out of the box. How could you do it? How would somebody else do it? Getting tapped into that heart brain coherence, get tapped into that spirit that shows you how, and then you're going to be able to do it. Okay, so you're going to learn to be able to resolve, and then you'll be able to evolve. And then this one's deeper because you will begin to change the chemical peptides. You'll resolve your issues, and your issues do not have to control you. So you evolve your life so you can change. Okay, so again, we respect where you are, Joanne. Just understand that you do not have to suffer when it comes to the physical. We can help you help heal yourself so you can have more clarity, that you can feel better. I learned how to do, when I started doing this, it was on people that had migraines, people that had were just like in a mess state. And so SP helps you. It's a more of a fast aid, but it helps you get connected, and sometimes help your body process out and put the energies back into. Oh, we got rain outside! Yay! My plants are going to be happy. So are the little animals. I just wanted to tell you guys this really cute thing, and it's a thank you spirit thing. My husband rescued a bird, and he's little, I think it's a lark or something, magpie type thing. Anyways, it's black and white, and it feels like it's a little girl. That's what it feels like. And she she was a baby. My husband helped rescue her, and now she's kind of claimed this house, this land, and us as her territory. So she's been bravely coming in because we leave the doors open during it's winter time, so it's fall and autumn and winter here. So it's colder inside the house than outside. So it'll be like 70 degrees and it'll be like 60, in here. So we'll open the doors to warm it up. Well, anyways, she just comes in and walks around and or sits upon the little seal, and while my husband does the dishes, or we're walking around the house. She's even come into the back bedroom and goes like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, hey, how you doing? And we call her Piper. She's getting braver and braver to sit there and just have a conversation with us. We don't know exactly what she's saying, but it's like, okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. She knows where the door is, and if she knows that the other door's open, she knows. She knows. I'm coming in. She's adorable. Loud, squeaking voice, but she's adorable, and she's always looking for my husband. To the point that I believe spirits can communicate through animals, and this bird has been sending messages to my husband to the point that we had traveled, I can't remember how many thousands of miles, but we did. And as we were on vacation, and outside the bedroom window was this bird, looked just like her, tapping on the window to say hi. And then when my husband registered, is like, oh, he wanted to get the picture, but message was given, the bird was gone. We go outside, and right next to our car is the bird again, like, hey, how you doing? And my husband's like, okay, I'm acknowledging consciousness, and I feel like that represents my dad or my mom. And so this little bird has been a big part of our world. And I just thought that's important, that if you are sick, homesick, scared, lost it, turn to nature, because even a tree can say hello from a loved one from the other side. You can feel this connection, like this great big hug. That is an amazing feeling. Raven's been coming to you. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And even rocks. I mean, I was traveling, and we were in our caravan, and oh my God, if you've ever been into Tasmania on the sides, not down the middle, it's like a straight line, but it goes like this, through the what do you call it, the Amazon type thing, and the rainforest. And I was getting sick and I was getting nauseous. Every part of my equilibrium was thrown all over the place. And so we park and I'm crying, I'm upset, my whole body. And I sat on the end of my caravan and I looked down and it's all pavement. Okay. So all these little pebbles and stones are all like black together, tarred together, and and all of a sudden, in a smile, okay, any type of smile from anywhere is always a sign from the universe for me. So I'm just like, oh my God, I'm like doing my best to heal and to tap. And I'm holding like this. I open my eyes that the stones had swelled up, even though it didn't, but glowed or shimmered, is what I like to call it. It was two rocks, a nose with a smile. And I could feel the love coming from my loved ones, from God itself, him, themselves, whatever you want to call it, the wholeness of God. And it was the joy just instantaneously. And love can heal you in an instant. Okay. Honeymoon effect. Love can heal you in an instant. I'm in a complete crap show. I open my eyes and this beam of smile from rocks in on the road. I went from to it produced such loving chemicals that I was fine. Oh yeah, ready to go. And he's like, recovered already? Yeah. Spirit came in. Done. Let's go. So pay attention that spirit is always being that little light of hope that is always helping you see your way out of the dark. It can give you that honeymoon effect, give you that love instantly. And when you can connect with that, boy, especially like if you're down, thank you, Spirit, for showing me something greater than me that can produce that love effect. You will, on my birthday, I couldn't understand it. I had rainbows everywhere. I'm like, there's nothing that's reflecting to cause rainbows in the area, but it caught my attention. So it pulled me out of a state, and instantaneously I could produce those happy chemical peptides. And I recorded that in my nervous system so I can be happy. And so I can miss myself instead of being in the trenches of hell. I can just pull myself back out because the honeymoon effect can work because it changes you from one perspective that you're hyper focused on into another. And you can do it with grace and ease. So love can help in many ways. You could hear your mom walking around today in her slacks. Yeah, your imagination, you can allow yourself, when you're in spirit, you don't have to be in a negative, sad space. You really don't. Okay. Hi, how are you? So here's your last chance. If you're looking for a reading, if it never had been read before, you can have a free one. If you want, it's 5, 15, or 25. That depends on you. If you'd like to join Tribe, let me know. It's 42. And that is 4 sessions a month. We do talks, but we do healings. And where else can you get such deep healings for $42? But it's also to help you evolve. Okay, it helps you evolve into your spirit space. Helps you look at different things and to help you grow. Okay, I think it's because it's early. That's why a couple people aren't on. And they're gonna, I have to. I do what spirit wants. Let's put it that way. Let me just double check to make sure that I have not missed anything. No, I'm good. I do want to talk about one more thing, sensitivity. So we have what happened about a week ago. Other people's influences and things like this. Now I'm watching my aura. I'm doing my best to keep it out there. And the sensory system that you communicate with. Okay. So in this case, it's not just eyes and ears. It was my, not the kinesthetic, but the sensitive aspect part of me. And so it's to help us to develop empathy and to return to love. And that was up in question because the sensitivity needs to be healed out because you have the positive and the negative, the too excited or the too fearful. And as I'm experiencing life experiences, I had to reevaluate my sensory system. So we have the chakras that go like this, and then we have our bodies that go like this. And part of my sensory system, the lenses, had to be balanced and healed out. And so the sensitivity part of me was being reevaluated, and I looked, and it was all over that done in waves, but it was all over in consciousness to see if people are going to wake up or go back to sleep. So, and I passed. So, but it was like, oh, and so I healed out things that were in that reflection, that mirror, and so I could get my power back and not have to keep believing in fear and feeding it into the universe so the consciousness can't shift. No, I healed that out. I changed that out and get back to who I am. Okay. So thank you so much for all of you for being here and helping establish a new world, a way of thinking with our spirits and our heart and our soul. So hashtag thank you, spirit. Hashtag resolve to evolve. Thank you, spirit. Heal instead of deal. Hashtag I don't have to believe my own BS. Hashtag. And if autumn is here, it's next stepping stone. And I've had that in this week. That hashtag was like, oh my God, this is my next stepping stone. So need to include that. Hashtag healing is so fulfilling. It really is. Hashtag thank you, spirit. You guys have you're already blessed in your home, so stay blessed and happy healing. Okay. Oops. And